there you go. This question here I missed last week, so I'm very sorry about that. I put it in the paragraph bit, and then I was looking back, and I thought, hold on a minute, I didn't ask that. I didn't answer that question. Can can we use ideal implants? What alternatives do you offer? I full disclosure, I had to Google it. Ideal implants. I don't know if I should make out as though I know all this stuff, but I had to Google it, and it's basically it's basically a saline implant, I think, by the looks of it. And there's a big sort of table as to why they're good and all this sort of stuff, and why they're better than silicone implants. And there's a big table also with all the surgeons that do it and everything. I think it's a bit American. I think they seem to be quite weighted in America. I think most of the surgeons are American. I always say to people, I can use any implants you want. I'm not tied to any implant manufacturer. We're not like some clinics where they have a deal with a certain manufacturer, so they only use those ones. We use any. And I always say to people, be a bit careful if someone says that they're the best implant, because if they were the best, we'd all use them. So having said we can use any implant, sometimes the hospitals are limited to who they have on their sort of, like a formulary. A formulary is really for drugs, but who they have on their list of suppliers type thing. And we've contacted the hospital, and they don't have these ideal implants on the list of suppliers. So having said I can use any implants, I can't use ideal implants, I'm afraid. Ideal is like a trade name. I can use saline. Say we should use a we, because it's not just me. I can, we can use saline implants. So the ideal implants are saline implants. So we definitely can use saline implants. Saline implants haven't really taken off in the UK. They are mainly really in America. They use them a lot more in America because they used to use, because silicone implants were banned for a long time in America. So they used a lot of saline implants. They've got a lot of experience using saline implants. And now they are using silicone again, but they still do use saline. So in this country, silicone implants were never banned. So we've always used silicone. And to be honest with you, we don't use many saline implants. Having said, you've got to be wary about people saying one's better. I think silicone are better. But no, there are pros and cons, because people do use saline. So let's be balanced about this. I've got to say, the reason I say that, because I haven't got much experience of it personally. Saline, not many people that when I was training and everything, no one uses saline implants. Saline implants are like a sort of bag of saline, and well, they're not even like a bag of saline. They are a bag of saline. They've got a silicone shell. So some people say, I don't want any silicone in my body. They've still got a silicone shell, but the contents are saline. There's a lot of rippling with saline implants, as you can imagine, a sort of bag of water. They sort of got no substance to them. Silicone implants have got more substance. I don't know if you've ever seen a silicone implant cut in two and it still keeps its form like a jelly. So there's no substance to it because it's saline. So rippling is a problem. So they pretty much always go underneath the muscle. So you will often hear in America, they talk a lot more about putting implants under the muscle than we do in the UK. But that's because saline pretty much always have to be under the muscle. I looked at this when I was going to ask the question last week. So I was just thinking that they had a sort of the pros and cons of saline and things like that, or ideal. The company were doing this, but basically saline implants versus silicone. And one of the things they said something like silent rupture. Silicone implants, yes. Saline implants, no. Saline implants don't get a silent rupture, as if to say that was a bad thing, that silicone implants can have a silent rupture. I think it's marginal. I think that's probably the way they want to look at it. I would say it's not necessarily a bad thing. A silent rupture is basically a rupture where you don't know it's ruptured. So what will happen is you'll have maybe a breast lump or a breast pain or something like that, or some reason to have a scan of your breast, and they incidentally discovered that your implant is ruptured. So you had no symptoms. Now, for me, the thing is, because they're form stable silicone implants, you often don't know if the shell's failed. If the shell just sort of ruptures, you often don't know. May not have any symptoms of a silent rupture. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the silicone hasn't leaked, it's kept its shape. Saline implants, obviously, if the shell fails of a saline implant, it just leaks, the saline leaks out and they deflate. so it's obvious. So you could argue that's a bad thing that they, deflate. Um, so yeah, but so we can't use ideal implants in answer to that question. So the alternatives we offer would be saline implants of another manufacturer, which would be manufacturers like Nagor, Mentor, Allergan. These are manufacturers that I know that the hospitals do, um, have a, not stock, but can get sort of thing. So we can use saline implants. Not ideal implants in particular, but I've not heard of them. I don't think they're big in the UK. I've never really heard anyone talk about them or use them. But we can use saline implants, but we'd have to have a big discussion with you about saline implants because there are pros and cons with them. And if the pros outweigh the cons, then go for it. Then saline implants might be a good option. Because this page